Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is time to freak out because it is the mid-year Freakout Tag. We are officially in July, which is past the technical halfway point of the year, but it's still fun to assess my reading to date and specific reading for the rest of the year. So join me as we freak out about literally being halfway through 2025. I don't even understand. Prompt number 1, the best book you've read so far in 2025. I had a little bit of a tough time at deciding this because I have read some very good books this year. The first one that came to mind though is The Wedding People by Alison Esbach. I really enjoyed this book. It's about mental health and depression, but it's also written in such a easily accessible way where I felt like I could really relate, but it was also not a very heavy book. I really enjoyed it and appreciated the content in the book. I think a second favorite thus far is The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak, and I'm still a little surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did because that book scared me so much before I started reading it. I talked about this in my June reading wrap-up, but this book is phenomenal, a very, very powerful World War II historical fiction. Prompt 2, the best sequel you've read so far in 2025. I have to say it, The Winners by Frederick Bachman, the conclusion in the Beartown series, and phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. I have talked about that book and that series multiple times on my channel, and I know it will come up again because it is absolutely one of my top reads of 2025, so it will at least come up in my end of year wrap-up, but this sequel and especially wrapping up the entire series was so good, so good. If you're new to my channel and you haven't heard me sing the praises of this series or this author, you need to check out Frederick Bachman's books. So good. Prompt number 3, a new release you haven't read yet but want to. So there are a few that have caught my eye that I am either on waitlists for or just know at some point I want to get to it. The Favorites by Leigh Bardugo. I actually had it from the library a few months ago, but I had too many other books out at that time, so I returned it before reading it, but I'm now in line for the audiobook. Also, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. This book sounds so intriguing to me. I haven't read anything else by this author, and I think I want to start first with the Southern Book, I always get the title wrong, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, I think is what it's called. I am hoping to read this summer, and after I start with that book, then I want to come back and read Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. It sounds like a very fascinating book. And the third new release is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I definitely want to read it. However, I am just now reading the Hunger Games original trilogy for the first time. So I need to finish the third book in that series and then the other, I think there's 1 or 2 other prequels, and then I will get to Sunrise on the Reaping. So I don't know if it'll happen in 2025, but at some point I definitely plan to read that one. Prompt number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This is another one I'm not entirely sure how to answer. I don't often track new releases unless it's a book by one of my favorite authors. I have a couple authors that I do follow what they publish and when they release books, or if I am watching another booktuber and they mention an upcoming new release and then it's on my radar, but I don't have any specific books at this time that I am specifically looking forward to. Number 5, biggest disappointment. I was debating if I wanted to answer this and I still don't know. I'll decide when I'm editing. 2 books came to mind. I think that I will have to say, though, that the biggest disappointment is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I have adored basically everything else that I have read by her, and this book just did not hit for me. It did not seem to have the depth and relatability for me that so many of her other books had. It felt, in my opinion, a lot more juvenile, I guess I would say, very repetitive, and the love story itself did not hit for me the same way that her other ones have. I also contemplated putting Onyx Storm because that book was just so strange. I think a lot has been said so far on BookTube about this book. It was very strange. I did not like it nearly as much as Fourth Wing or even Iron Flame, but I'm still invested enough to want to read the future books in the series, or at least the next one, and see what happens in the next one. So we'll see. Prompt number 6, biggest surprise. I think I'm gonna say What You Were Looking For is in the Library. I read that book a couple months ago on audio, and I didn't really know what to expect, but this just ended up being a beautiful book. Very It did feel very warm and cozy, and I don't usually enjoy books like that, but I just found myself really relating to some of the characters, two in particular, and their stories, and just really feeling invested in their lives and how books and libraries were there for them in whatever it is that they were going through in that moment. So this book, it did surprise me, and it was so beautiful. I really enjoyed this one. Number 7, favorite new author, either a debut author or new to you. I would have to say David Levithan. I read 2 books by him so far this year, and I just had a video up in June about the 2 books I read, Answers in the Pages and Ryan and Avery. I thoroughly enjoyed both of them, and I'm definitely curious to read more by him. It looks like he has written quite a few books. Wait a second, he wrote 10 Things I Hate About You? As in the movie with Heath Ledger? Huh, that's interesting. Anyway, so I definitely want to read more by him. Number 8, newest fictional crush. So, okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna say what is perhaps a stereotypical answer because this character happens to be from the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. However, I have to say, when I was reading the books, especially the first 2, I kept seeing, all these reels on Instagram and people saying like, oh, Bodhi's amazing or Sawyer's amazing or all these things. And I have to be honest, when I read the first 2, I was like, I couldn't really tell you the difference between them. Like they all, in my opinion, they weren't like fleshed out enough for me to be like, oh yes, this person over this person. Obviously, some of the main characters like Xaden and Liam and those, they were much more defined in my head. But as far as like the group of the other guys, it just felt like a group of guys. Anyways, in Onyx Storm, and I don't even know how to say his name because I always said Rydok, and then in reels people were saying Riddick, and I don't like the sound of Riddick, but maybe that's actually his name. But I have to say it's Riddick. He showed up in Onyx Storm. I adored the way that I don't want to give spoilers, that he called out Violet and he just made some choices. So I'm gonna have to say Rydok or Riddick or whatever his name is, and nothing had better happen to him in the next books, is all I have to say. Number 9, newest favorite character. Okay, so it's not new, it's a continuation because it is a character from a series that I completed. And yes, once again, I'm going to mention the Beartown series, and in the winners, Benji. Benji has been my favorite character in all 3 of the books, but absolutely he continued to be a favorite character in the winners. Benji is just amazing. I would love to know him in real life. He just seems like an amazing person. Prompt number 10, a book that made you cry. The Winners by Frederick Bachman. I ugly cried. The Book Thief, I ugly cried. And My Friends by Frederick Bachman. And at the time of filming, I haven't even finished this, and that book has made me cry. So yeah, those books have brought the tears. Number 11, a book that made you happy. I'm gonna have to say The Rival by Emma Lord. This book came right at a good time for me. I am so curious to read more by her, if it was just the timing or if I just genuinely am gonna like her as an author, or both, who knows. It's the first book in a long time that it made me happy. It made me smile. It made me proverbially kick my feet and giggle. It was just, I really enjoyed it. Number 12, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I don't have an answer for that, and I don't know. I feel like on other tag videos and things where this has come up, I'm not really into like covers, I guess. I am super happy with all the books I have that have deckled edges, so I guess I would say that. Like I know, well, now I can't even find any. Some books that have deckled edges, that makes me happy, so I guess I would say any of the books that have deckled edges. Number 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? My Friends by Frederick Bachman, which I'm hoping to finish in July. I am really hoping to finish Les Miserables not in July, that's too much, by the end of the year. And on my 40 before 40 list, in order to complete the list by my 40th birthday, I need to read 8 books a year. So far, I have only read 2 in 2025. So technically, I need 6 more books to finish that goal. Les Miserables is one of them. If I am able to finish that by the end of the year, that'll be a third. And I still have, at the time of filming, 7 books on my list from the books that my sisters gave me for Christmas. However, 2 of those are on my TBR for July, so hopefully I can knock those out and finish the last few August through December. I'm feeling a smidge stressed about completing those books, but I keep reminding myself I don't need to feel stressed. It's all gonna be okay. Reading is for fun, reading is for enjoyment, reading is for learning, and that can be at whatever pace it's at. And if I don't finish 8 books on my 40 before 40, then it'll roll over. It'll be fine. It'll be so great. So there is my Freakout Tag for halfway through 2025. I am overall so happy with my reading from the first half of the year. It's not like every single book has knocked it out of the park, but I have definitely found some great books, some 5-star reads, books that I know are gonna stick with me for a while, books that even though I didn't necessarily love them or 5 stars, they still made me think or they impacted me in some way, and I love that. I mean, that's the point of reading for me, is finding books that make me think, that leave a mark, and that are enjoyable. So thus far, 2025 has absolutely been showing up, and I'm excited for the books that I will discover in the second half of the year. Until next time, happy reading.